Starting now. This is Real People. Real issues. Real news. Real people.
I'm Stephanie Allensworth, and this is Real People.
This is Real People.
Hi, welcome to Real People. I'm Stephanie Allensworth. Today I'm here with director Christine Claiborne and her casting director, Ann Pritchard. So welcome, ladies. We're here to talk about some fun stuff that you've got going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you want to give us just a little bit about your movie?
Ann does it better.
I believe you could.
It's we've been working on this for a long time. It's a movie titled Minneapolis, and it's kind of a hometown comedy, family friendly, but with some high stakes and some big life questions and lots of weather. And really the main premise, I started working on it years ago after I moved here, was that there's a news anchor team that doesn't get along, and they get stuck mentoring an at-risk teen, which is based on a real life mentoring organization here called Boulder Options.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
Very, very good thing.
So, because they had kind of romantic comedies for years, and I've actually seen this now because I'm just finishing up a writing degree, screenwriting, and they're like, something that feels like romantic comedy but has maybe something more than just happily ever after in it, which is what I think people want, a larger sense of purpose, maybe.
So Anchorman Light, maybe?
No, Anchorman. Well, maybe a little. We had really fun with this shoot because when we dressed like David Mell, he's Mr. Kitty Rescue, and we dressed him up like, Ron Burgundy was like, oh, it's him. Yes. We had these huge posters that we had done, and there's all these funny pictures where he's like looking out from behind people's,
He
it was pretty fun.
just like an anchor for sure.
Yeah, a pompous one too. It was pretty funny. Yeah, so
that was a very successful movie. So
that's true. It was. This is like the girl version. This is like from a
very
female
nice,
perspective, I think.
So I don't know much about it. You've been doing trailers. You've been shooting trailers, and
well, it's been
doing
a process. I was just thinking about this on the way over here today. I'm like, between all my different careers, I'm like, how come I don't ever get into any like typically female careers? I don't know why. And they're always ones with like ridiculous odds. And it was not my plan to direct this. It was originally another director's idea, who actually was in the National Guard flying before I was. He wanted to tell a story in Minneapolis, and he wanted to have it kind of have a re-exploring of what we loved about Mary Tyler Moore, particularly the phrase "I can make it on my own," and to re-explore that idea and say, is that really the case? Are we really, or is there maybe another kind of catch line to that? So that's where it started. And I had a news background, so they were like, you can write it. And like the idiot that I was, I'm like, okay, sure. Well, there's a whole different thing between doing a minute 15 every day.
Yes.
And so I have the skill set of, I know what it looks like when it's done. I know I've made every mistake in putting a story together, and most like screenwriters, they'll write, and they can make an entire living just optioning scripts. I ended up renting a room, ironically, from a screenwriter out there, so I started learning about that, and he was the one that introduced me to the director. So this is 15 years ago. And I had originally gone out there kind of to learn how to produce. Once again, another job that now we know that like there's no such thing, like women hardly ever get to do these jobs. And, but that was true with weather too, and I was just right place, right time with a science degree. So now here we are 15 years later, and that's why Ann, I won't do any of these without Ann, because I was literally on a mission in Afghanistan, and you get these little really crappy internet things that you can check, and Ann sends a picture, and she's doing a show. She's like, look, I'm talking about Minneapolis, the movie. And at that point, I had ended up almost flying completely, and it's always been in the back of my mind to do it. But I would say what maybe makes it different, what we're trying to do is, it was never the most important thing to me to make that movie. I come from a long line of military veterans, and the thing that matters most is to be of service.
Well, and I'm going to just stop right here for a minute and say thank you for your service, because Air Force pilot?
Oh no, Loadmaster in the back. Party, business up front, party in the back. So I drop the equipment out. So the C-130s that you see flying over here, we call it the 4-fan trash can. You haul trash and stuff in it, and the C-130 has 4 propellers on it, so it can land on a dirt airfield, whereas a plane with a jet engine couldn't do that. Once you kick rocks into the jets, that's bad.
Yeah.
There are some that can, but generally it's the C-130 that goes anywhere and everywhere. You know,
wow.
yeah.
I always
And
tell her it's a dangerous job.
I didn't think it was that dangerous. I mean, you know, flying is dangerous in that, you know, if you don't do it's not. The stakes are life and death, obviously, in any aviation career. But I think the driving is more dangerous, personally.
Well, they tend to say that, you know, you have more risk of dying in a car accident than a plane accident.
You do.
And probably
And within 10 miles of your home.
Getting hit by lightning and all that other good stuff.
But it is true that when you are in a combat environment, there is a
that whole
different
combat
weight
thing.
to, you know, all the bad things that could happen, you know, if there's something goes wrong when you're in hostile territory. So I think that there's a weight to that when you come home, it's a little hard to hear people complain about the temperature of their Starbucks.
Yeah.
I would literally be mentally working on that, like before I went over, like how will I deal? And I actually had a therapist say a really great thing that she said, it's in our nature to want to improve on things. And so when you hear people complaining, it's really a desire to make things better. And that helped me.
Oh,
You know what I mean? I mean, I'm not a big fan of complaining. Neither is Ann. We don't complain
if
much.
somebody's break that down for me. So if somebody's complaining,
It is human nature.
It's a call for help.
No,
Or-
it's human nature to make things better. And
for us to want to make it
when
better.
you're a veteran and you go into a third world country, and I actually lived in a third world country when I was very young. My parents were missionaries in Zambia, Africa. Built a hospital and a generator.
Well, God bless them.
It was the most remote mission station, and I recently looked on Wikipedia just because I was like, is anything still there? And it says there's a hospital there. And I was like, my dad built that hospital.
How cool
you know,
is that?
and so it was dangerous, more dangerous I feel than anything I did in aviation actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that it was just, you know, it's a wild place, or people were taken hostage, and you know,
Oy.
you're not on a military base, and a lot of it as a flyer, you're either on the military base or you're in the air. So for me, that wasn't scary. I totally lost my train of thought. What was the question?
I forgot.
So many stories. I'm sorry. That's why I'm excited to be a storyteller. I got so
bounce all
many
over
stories.
the place,
Yeah.
right?
One thing that I really love about Minneapolis, the movie, because I didn't know a lot about it at first, and when she told me about the Boulder options part of it and the mentoring of the at-risk kid, I just cried my eyes out. I said, Christine Clayberg, you really have something here, you know, something that the whole family can enjoy. It's going to be funny and dramatic, and it's got a heart.
It's got a
warming story with it.
It's got a heartbeat.
One of she brings a good point, because 15 years ago when I started writing it, I tend to have this selective, like I'm not, you know, they always say if those women well-behaved women never make history, and I always like wanted to be one of the well-behaved, but then I'm like, I think I could do this, and if some guy tells me, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it. But I think that when I started writing that script, I knew at that time there was no diversity. And you know, I was acting on camera at the time, and I would go in, and I've seen it really change in the last 10 years, and it's when I would still go in as a news lady, and there would be like 20 blonde women that were perfectly thin, and then me being fairly average. And now there is a very diverse range. And I get called in, I'm like, I'm the only blonde lady here. I must be actually good at this. You know, and so when I started writing the script.
Yeah, you become the wild card now.
Yeah, well, no, it's like if I get this, it's because it's the right fit for something. And I got to go, the one show I never booked was Scandal, and I got called in all the time. One time I read for one of Shonda's shows, came back out to my car, my agent had called, and she's like, they need to go back in and read for another one. And I was like, neither of which I booked. But that just, you know, that's, and we know Ann knows from working on casting that sometimes it's just coming up with the right balance. It's not whether you did a good job or not. So what I noticed when I started that script, and I didn't really think about, women screenwriters never get produced. I didn't, because there was a male director and he wanted to do it. And they kind of moved on. It's like, women's stories are complicated. They're too hard to work. We just want to make movies. And I kept chipping away at it. So I realized when I started it, I knew that the asset I had was I know all this background funny stuff that happens in news, like the nitty-gritty details of what you think is this very glamorous world with these very powerful people that are like not. And I just always thought I was always amused by it, you know, and so I thought that's the ace that I have as a story, but the story I really want to tell is about the power of mentoring. And how fun it can be. Very funny, you know, when you think you're going to help someone else and you really end up learning more on your own. And so, but I was very conscious of I need to tell, and it was the #1 criticism of the script is you don't really care about these two main characters. It's like Caucasian people having problems. Back to the Starbucks, coming back from, and so that was the hardest thing to work on in the script, and I just did it in my master's program, was to really make us care about those main characters, because he's like, you don't care about these characters, and I'm like, you know what, you're right. I don't. And so I had to work on that, and I think there's a lot of movies where you always come to a story thinking you're going to get something that you need, but if it's a well-written story, I think that you walk away wanting something more.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's leave them wanting more, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you're cast in the movie then?
Yes, she is.
Yes.
And so tell us a little of your background and your experience.
Oh, I've been in acting since I was 17. I did a lot of theater, and when I moved to Minnesota, I just told Christine, I said, I'm not going to do any more acting or anything in theater or anything anymore, because I was just burnt out. And she gives me a call and says, we need you on Christmas Eve.
It's when you can get the good locations downtown. Nobody's downtown, so they'll let you shoot.
And so when she called me and I came and I did the little, the test trailer with her, I was hooked. I just said, this lady, Christine Kleberg, she has a big heart and soul for people, and she really cared. She cared about me. She treated me just like I was a big movie star.
And it's been way
Hollywood.
Too nice.
Now, she didn't pay me to say that either,
I know.
but she really did. I thought, oh gosh, and I had to bring a friend from the airport, and their plane was late, and I said, she's not even going to let me do it now because I'm going to be late. But I thought, gosh, she really treated me like a human being should be treated, and I just said, I'm hooked. Anything she tells me to do and film, I'm going to have to do it.
Was that for this movie or something else?
It was for the test trailer.
We've done a lot of tests over the years.
Okay.
So we had the original director, and he did a short that was really great, but then it was like, as he kind of moved on to other projects, I'm like, all right, I'm going to have to figure out how to do this and make it work. So that's kind of how Ann and I met.
And then, like she says, I know a lot of people, and I feel that I know talent because I've been in it for so many years, and I can tell you in two seconds, pretty much. If you have the same, if you have the right look or the sound that's needed,
But she
then
also finds people that have good hearts.
Yeah.
And I learned this. I was very fortunate to be able to read for a lot of just really, like high directors in these huge projects, and I started to realize like that the quality projects cared about what kind of person you were. They cared.
In Hollywood?
Yes, in Hollywood. Not, like the big kind of, like I'm going to say the wrong name, and I don't want to sound like me, but I got to send in 3 auditions. Who is it? I'm going to say the wrong name. Steven Soderbergh. I'm so embarrassed that I'm messing that. I think it was Steven Soderbergh. The Liberace movie with Michael Douglas and Matt Damon.
I think that's
so. My agent out in LA, she's amazing, and she's very supportive of the military. And in the Guard, you'd go for maybe like a couple of months over to deploy, and then you'd be coming back. So I had it just down to a system. I always had a camera because I was just shooting anyway. I sent back 3 auditions in a row for that. And I don't think they even knew that I was still in the Middle East about to come home, but I would be back in time to shoot. And I didn't book that one, and another gal who we actually were going to maybe have in this movie who was also a military veteran booked it. So I was like, when? But I realized they wanted like 5 minutes about what it meant to be a reporter, and it was a small little thing. And usually you think it's just the look. And I was like, Anne it slowly grew to that. At first it was she kept catching my typos, and then I'm like, you're in charge of the credits for all our projects. And then I kind of joke, especially with working with women in film, my thing now, I'm like, what's your superpower? I don't care so much what job description you have, and hers was she knows that she cares about people. She pays attention, she gets the names right, she just has that attention to detail, and she has an amazing pool of just. We were doing this ridiculous film race, and she had like a Grammy-winning singer, and I'm like, Anne, we don't need anybody that like experienced for this crazy thing we're doing. So she's very trusted and respected, and
I know a lot of people.
She does. She knows people, and I've been gone a lot. I know a few. We did something where I realized like, all my friends are like over 40 now. I don't know any young actors.
Well, I think what's really important too, and I know you agree with me too on this, that it's good to work together with people that loves to work together with each other, you know, so you won't have any like spats or anything going on. Everybody just loves each other and has a fun time.
Well, you were
you know?
a talent agent and sometimes there are people that are just all about themselves, and I mean, I've been accused of it being all about me many times. I'm like, that was my job. Your job is to be, you know, interesting and charming and fabulous. But I don't think that I ever really like drank the Kool-Aid on that. I didn't think that hopefully I was better than somebody, you know, else. And the hardest thing has been to direct. I hate having to ask people to do things.
Oh,
You know, as a I'm come from like Quaker heritage and like work with your hands, and that's what I loved about being a loadmaster. And as a meteorologist, you
goodness.
kind of do your whole thing, but I don't like. And I think a lot of
What
women are this
haven't
way.
you done? My goodness.
I can't cook. No kids. My cat even is like, she don't pay enough attention to me.
I know. I used to read
Roger,
all
you
your
want
posts about your
food?
kiddos.
Yes,
Yeah,
Commander
kiddos.
Roger Spacely.
He's the sweetest little kitty cat.
This last film, I lost my driver's license, I had to get on a plane, all this stuff happened, and I'm like, Anne, can you kitty sit? And she went over there and sent pictures of my cat.
And I'm even allergic to cats
I
now.
know, but she would go over there and check on him.
Well, that's true friendship. To do
It
that
is.
for you.
I think we both just have, I realized, like, I want to make this movie so bad for so long, and
You need to
Anne
get
feels
her
the
done.
same way.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I got teased a little bit about it when I started my master's. Like, they were like, you can't work on the script the first year because you've been working on it for so long.
And it's
Yeah.
maybe your go-to heart movie. Like from what I hear, that they want you to do other things that aren't so close to your heart.
And it was really good because I learned a lot about myself having to
Yeah.
write other things.
Yeah.
But it didn't change that. You know, I didn't set out to be a screenwriter. I just was like, I just want to tell this one story.
Yeah.
You know, but I have started. I think my passion. I'm like, if I could do this, get this one done, I'd like to help there's so many other friends I'd like to help produce and write. And
She's good at it.
is a cat?
No.
I got all excited. Something's up out there. Are we good?
Well, I can't read it. There's too much reflection on the window. So
There's a note.
Does it?
Is it say I'm talking too long again?
No, it might say that we have like 10 minutes left, but
Oh, okay.
I can't see what it says at all, Tom.
Yeah, no, we're good.
Okay.
Okay. Oh,
Thank you.
There's years of TV. You just like there's no such thing as dead air when Christine's around. So.
Hey, you know, it's just one of those moments, you know.
Yeah.
We'll call it a blooper.
Blooper reel. Yeah, we got
blooper reel.
those. Yeah.
Back to casting. Let's
Yeah.
talk about that for a second, because I think one of the hardest things about casting and when you're making a movie is all these people that want to put a bunch of people together that may not necessarily have any chemistry together. You know, it's like, well, we can get so-and-so, and we can get so-and-so, we can get, you know,
Yep.
but it's like, how do you even know if they like each other? You can't just do that. You can't just say, and then go hand it to a producer or a money person and say, we've got all these people. And then that person will come in and say, I don't want any of those people. Start all over again. And now you have to decommit to them. And it's like, oh, what a mess. It's like, no.
Interesting.
Start with the money first and then go make your offers. Don't make offers and get people on board and contract it in and everything, only to find out that your director or money people say, nope, we don't want them. So that's something that I learned in
interesting.
California. It's chemistry and being able to work together. I don't care if it's Tom Cruise and anybody else. It's the chemistry has to be there. It doesn't
You
have
have to be able to get along.
they have to
fun
be screen
together.
tested. You know, that's why they have people audition, even the stars. So you know that you have to
And you
make
have to
sure
fit
it
the
looks
part.
good. Well, they have to fit the part, and they also have to be believable in that role. In either they're in love or they hate each other or they love each other, but they don't.
Yeah.
They,
Yeah.
You know. There's always some, you know, protagonist and antagonist thing going on. So, so that's something for me that I just had to throw out there, because I find people doing that so often.
Yeah.
And I think the whole casting thing needs to happen in its due process.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And then I don't cast someone unless she agrees, and the other producers of the film.
Oh, I keep
too. We
telling
have
her
to-
I trust.
We work
that-
together as a team. We have a full team.
But
so
she'll
I say,
call
well,
me
this
and-
is who I think should be this person. person.
Yeah.
But you let me know what you think. But this is what I think.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
kind
this
of
is what
thing.
I can't tell you how many times on the phone. I'm like, I believe you, Ann. I trust you. I trust you. I trust you. I got to get 12 other things done. And I'm like, I don't even worry about it anymore with Ann. Like, I just know she's going to put, it'll be, you know, like for our leads, those were people that I had paid attention to for years because I wanted to have someone from here, and then for the out-of-town person that's a woman that's in this kind of glamorous role, I didn't realize how badly I really wanted it to be a female veteran.
Oh.
If possible, because I was involved with a lot of like veterans in film and television out in LA, so I knew there were all these really great actresses that, you know, you miss a chunk of your life when you go off to war, you're gone.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you're a little behind. You're incredibly capable, incredibly well trained, but you don't have the network. And so, and I wanted also because, you know, if you do a good job with a film, it becomes a breakout role for somebody, a lead role in even a smaller film like this. And I was like, I want that person to not just be somebody that focused on being beautiful and glamorous. Because I know from news, like, you know, you can put anybody in to a certain extent, you know? And I wanted it to be like, oh, I want to be like her, and she's actually a ninja. That's our Ninja Kitty Airlines badge.
That's your kitty, right?
Well, that started actually when I was deployed, and some friends made it just became a joke that,
Yeah.
you know, Ninja Kitty, just people are like, Christine, that's so you know, you're like,
It kind of grew on
I'm
us.
so harmless, but I'm also a ninja. Yeah, versus, you know, people that are like, I'm really, really tough, and I'm like, I can be tough if I need to, but I don't.
Yeah. So
I'm really partial to the veterans too, because I'm from a family of
Five
brothers
Yeah,
that
yeah.
are military veterans.
me too,
So
actually.
it's really
Yeah.
close to me.
Yeah, mine was mostly naval.
Okay.
It was grandfather and
Wow.
father and all the boys, 5 boys too. in the
Wow.
family.
It's so funny because I think like, going out on a Navy ship would be the scariest. Like, I just think the ocean is scary. People think flying. I've noticed that in every branch, the guys on the ground are like, "Oh, that sounds terrifying," and I'm like, "No, that sounds like harder to be on the ground." And they're like, "No, it's harder to be at a ship at sea." So you know, I think each of us
Yeah.
we're just different.
And then
Yeah.
take it to the next level, landing a plane on a ship at sea.
Yes, which the C-130 has only done once. That's not. Yeah, and my
That's not typical, right? You don't-
No, and my battle buddy Veronica Wayne was a F-14 mechanic when she was like 19 years old.
Oh my
On
gosh.
I think the Harry S. Truman, which is just isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
So you know.
That's
yeah.
well, female pilots. They weren't even allowing female
Yeah.
pilots, and until I can't remember her name, but the one woman
Yep.
broke through, and
And I got to some of the best pilots I flew with were women.
Yeah.
And my second deployment, our aircraft commander was female, and it was funny because we had 2 guys and 2 girls on the crew, and it was one of the best experiences that I had.
Nice.
It was neat when it was balanced like that.
yeah. Okay, so the movie.
Yes.
You've got it fully casted then, or are you still?
Well, no.
are
So
you
what we
still poking
did
around?
this time, you know, we keep testing and learning, and this was the first time I've like quote directed, and it actually went well. And this is a testament to how good Ann is a casting director. Her sister passed away the week before.
I heard. I'm so sorry.
And so, and I did kind of have like a meltdown like 2 days before, like I can't do this. And we were fine. Everyone showed up. Everyone was wonderful because Ann had done all the work beforehand. You know.
Plus, I was on a phone.
Yeah, she was on the phone too, but just she had done all that. And a lot of people want to be there for the shooting, but they don't want to do the work before. And that's what I think Ann and I are elbow and elbow to. We're always thinking about resources. So
I always tell her, "Don't worry, it's going to be fine."
it went great. It went amazingly. But this was the first time that I had done some film races that I had directed that went well. But this was the first time that I had directed, and it did go well. It went well. And this is a proof of concept. We shot it in 4K. And we will put it together and we will pitch it, and we're debating on whether to maybe make it a nonprofit production company. Just because then we have less barriers for. I'm really worried about raising the money. I'm really worried about it. But I'm thinking of women in STEM organizations, and the things we thought of were, you know, there are. I just thought we might be better. I don't know if that's been done. Somebody at SPNN, actually the executive director, Martin Ludden at SPNN, recommended look at being a nonprofit. Most first films don't make money anyway, and it's really hard to be inclusive when, especially with women, because I mean, we ended up like the highest parts of our budget went to men who already had the experience. But then, and that's not bad on men, because there were some guys that came in, some of the most experienced, donated their time for us to learn. And after that, I was like, we're going to learn all these crew positions. We're going to learn all these crew positions. So it's a proof of concept. We're editing it together now, and then we will see if we can raise money to possibly. We're actually location scouting up at Lakes Mille Lacs tomorrow. Shoot a scene this winter. This may be like an American Quilt. We may shoot one scene at a time and raise a little more money, and then shoot another one.
Do you have a GoFundMe page?
No, we have a Seed and Spark page though.
Seed and Spark. Okay, that's what I saw.
Yeah, and if you Minneapolis the movie will take you straight to Seed and Spark.
Okay, so
it was just so hard to raise that money.
We've been blasting Minneapolisthemovie.com on the screen here behind us. So
awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so I imagine, if you just want people to go out there and help out, that's a good thing. Because
and that's a great thing. It's just
to a good cause, and of course, Minneapolis people love seeing.
We love our city. We love our weather. And don't worry, there's a sequel, St. Paul. We didn't forget St. Paul.
The sequel.
The sequel. Minneapolis is all about the extremes of weather and men and women. And then my friend Tim put the poster together. He said, St. Paul, he's like, religion, politics, and you thought Minneapolis had it bad. And I thought, wouldn't it be interesting, next script, what we have in common, what we share.
Yeah, because I would like to know, actually.
I know. Well, just, the Skyways are the central feature to me of Minneapolis, and there is a kind of, it's more like kind of corporate, but the beauty of the Skyways compared to St. Paul has, I love exploring differences and what we still share in common, so.
Well, I have to wrap it up.
Okay.
So, Christine Kleberg and Ann Pritchard, MinneapolisTheMovie.com. If you feel like donating, you know where to find it.
Yeah, or just following is fine right now, because we're not really raising money right now, but we may in the future. So.
Yeah, so I'm so happy to have you here and talking about your film. Thank you so much. And we'll see you again next time on Real People. Bye now.